Hello, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world, welcome. Welcome to this channel, welcome to the video. My name is Norman.
And my name is Connor.
And we are so excited to be here today. Connor is my work wife. And the whole purpose of this video today is showing you the how-to with Crazy Colour. So if you're new to the brand, if you're a bit of a seasoned pro, we're going to be basically breaking down everything that we know about the product and how you can kind of get the best results. We're going to be talking about the different techniques that you can get an even result and an ombre result, and basically how you can use the product to your best advantage.
We're also going to be sharing how Crazy Colour fades. We're also going to be giving you some knowledge about our favourite mixtures as well, and the shades that we use every single day in the salon, and so much more.
So stay tuned, should we get into it, babe?
Let's go, let's do it. So to start us off, I just want to talk about Crazy Colour as a brand. Now, Crazy Colour is the first and the original, and it's also been around since 1977. It's PPD and ammonia free, it's vegan, and it's also PETA approved. So that means that they don't test on animals, which is super important to us.
And I actually think that's a really good selling point for our clients as well. People like, meaning our clients, they love hearing that it's vegan and cruelty free as well. It's a good incentive for them to have Crazy Colour on their hair. I love it, it's iconic.
So I'm going to talk about how the product works. So Crazy Colour is peroxide free. So let's think about your permanent colours or your demi-permanent colours. You've got your tube and you've got your peroxide, so 1 and 2, and you mix them together. With Crazy Colour, what you see is what you get. So you just use it directly from the bottle. It is a direct dye. I
want to talk a little bit about the science and where it basically sits on the hair shaft. Because it hasn't been mixed with peroxide or Crazy Colour, it isn't designed to open the cuticle. It just sits basically right on top of it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So it's almost like a top coating on top of the cuticle. So like a classic direct dye. It's not opening the cuticle, it's not causing any damage. This is always really important to remember when you're thinking about how it fades as well. It's a true semi-permanent colour. So there are so many different colours to choose from. I just bloody love a shade chart as well. And each of them are intermixable. You can mix any of them together. That's one of my favourite parts about Crazy Colour, is it's just so versatile. Like, the possibilities are endless. And that doesn't mean that necessarily all of them should be mixed together, because we're going to come into a little bit about that later. But there really is just so much option and versatility in the range. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about application, all right? When I first started with Vivid Colours many moons ago, I used to get really patchy results because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I used to blame the product a lot for the patchy results, but it really just is because I didn't know how to use it. Colours that are mixed with peroxide, in those moments when you run out of colour and you kind of just rub your last little bit and pull it down, you know that you've got the security that you're going to get an even result. Because Crazy Colour is a direct dye, what is applied onto the hair is where you are going to see the colour. And that's where that patchiness, that's where you get the patchy results from if you don't know how to apply the product properly. So we're going to show you 2 different ways that we apply Crazy Colour and the 2 different results that you can get. Now, I think it's really important to say from the start is that this is just the way that we use the colour, right? This isn't necessarily what's right and what's wrong. This is just what works for us and what works for our clients as well. So we've got some swatches here. I'm going to be showing you an ombre result. So I've got my little swatch here.
She's nice and yellow.
She's nice and yellow.
And blonde.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking later about the base that you're using and what result that you will get. But that's for later. I don't want to get too excited.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I'm going to show you on this strand of hair here what happens if you were to apply the colour and not get full consistent coverage from root to tip. So basically if you get a more of an uneven result. Now the 2 techniques that me and Connor are going to show you, none of them's right and none of them's wrong. It's just 2 different examples on how you can use the product to your advantage for what result you want. Would you do the honours for me, please, darling?
I will.
I'm using Pinkissimo. This is like a really sexy Barbie pink. I absolutely love this one. I use it all the time in the salon. I'm just going to pop my little bowl here. Here she is. So remember, this is the technique that I'm going to show you now on how you would get more of like a gradient result of colour. So what I mean by that is I'm going to put the pigment at the top of the hair here, and I'm just going to start pulling it down like this, okay? What that means is wherever the colour is applied to the hair, that is where you are going to see the coverage. So I'm going to put it on just onto the top area here. It's really important that I'm getting that point across, that I'm not applying it root to tip. So I'm going to put it on here. You can see how punchy that pink is. And what I used to do when I was like kind of new to the Vivid Colour game, let's just say I run out of Pinkissimo, right? And I go, oh, it's fine, I'll just put it down to the bottom.
God, you're way stronger than I am.
Am I? Am I? Pulling it all the way down. But you can see here, can you just hold it a bit closer for me, babe? You can, oh, doesn't that look large?
That looks really great.
Yeah, it's like a sunset vibe. You can see here, just where I've applied the colour at the top and I've just pulled it down, I'm not getting any impact here. So Connor's going to show you an example as if you want more of an even result from root to tip. So let me show you one more time. Here's my strand of hair here. I'm going to put my Pinkissimo on the top. A little bit more, why not? Slap that on. Give it a good rub. And I'm going to work it down here. Yummy. You can see, even though I've applied the colour and I've pulled it all the way down, I have got no pigment on the ends. Again, that's just because it's a direct colour. And what pigment is in the bowl and whatever is applied to the hair, that is the area that's going to be affected. So if you run out of colour and you've only got a little bit more towards the ends and you think, oh, it's fine, it'll be fine, I'll just give it a rub through, it's not going to cut it, you know? You're not going to get that even result if that's what you're looking for. Again, this is if you're wanting a gradient technique or an ombre. It's all about where you apply the colour and how you manipulate it with your hands is going to ultimately affect your end result. It's a little more clear.
Got beautiful coverage at the top.
Yeah.
Might be the nicest ombre you've ever done. Now I'm going to show you what you're looking for to get a full coverage effect. So this means the same colour from the roots all the way down to the tips. My biggest piece of advice is to saturate.
Yeah, totally.
Pick your colour up out of the bowl, apply it. Once you can see that that pigment's not spreading anymore, go back into the bowl, apply more, pull it through, and again, look at the hair. If you're pulling it too far, like Norman did with his, the pigment will not spread. Straight in the tip of my brush. Obviously, it's travelled down a little bit. That's perfectly normal. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start from the top. Generally, with people's hair, they've got the most amount of strands at the top. So this is where your saturation has to be maximum.
That is such a good tip. Do you know what? I didn't even think of saying that. So well done.
So straight in, you're going to apply on, and you're really pushing that product through. You can use your brush on a vertical. You can use your brush on a horizontal. Whatever it takes to absolutely saturate this hair. So as you can see, I've applied that. I'm going to give it a tiny smush through. Not a lot. You can see I've applied loads and loads. So again, I'm going to saturate further down, and then I'm going to use the tips, so the tips of the bristles, and I'm going to push that product into the hair. I'm really pushing against my hand, almost using my hand as a board, I guess. Again, I can see that the shade is starting to pastelize just a little bit here. So I'm going back in the bowl, adding more and more product and saturating. Really saturating. You're going to hear me say that word a bazillion times.
What do you need to do?
You need to saturate. Gotta have high saturation. So once the hair is absolutely covered and coated and saturated, you can then give it a little rub through. And what you want to do at this point as well is just spread the hair apart a little bit and just check that you're all covered, because it might look like it's covered on the top, but you also need to make sure that the colour is pushed all the way through. Again, just giving it a tiny rub through, tiny little check, pulling it apart, looking for any splotches of blonde, which I can't see there. So that means my saturation is high.
I just think it takes any guesswork away doing strand tests. Like, when in my earlier days of when I just qualified, I would put a colour on and kind of just like cross my fingers and hope that I get an even result or a result that I expected in my head. But by strand testing, you get to see what the colour looks like before you commit to the end result. And also clients love a strand test as well because it keeps them super involved and they actually get a visual of what the colour will look like before you commit to putting it all over. So, now that we have showed you the examples of a full coverage result, so remember that is even from root to tip, and I showed you the ombre result, I just wanted to show you on these swatches what they look like. So
here's ones that we prepared earlier. So this is your full coverage. This is what you're looking for. It's even from root to tip. There's no splotchy blonde areas. And look at that beautiful shade. And
yeah,
this is on just a little hair swatch, but look how shiny it is as well. That is no conditioner. That is just crazy colour.
it's just crazy colour. And this is the one that I wanted to show you as well. So this would be for the ombre result. So remember, this is when I just applied it onto the root section and then I just pulled it down as well. I just wanted to talk a little bit about blending. One of my favourite, well, I think my favourite thing with crazy colour is like blending one colour into another. It's the gradient effect. We're going to do another video exclusively about blending and basically getting from one colour to the other. So what we mentioned earlier was that all of the colours are intermixable, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they all should be. Not because they're not all gorgeous, it's because of the colour wheel. So colours that are opposing from each other. So green and red. So we're going to put our sheet of paper behind us and we're going to show you what happens when you blend one colour into another that are opposite on the colour wheel and what that colour creates in the middle.
I just want to talk about mixing colours together that shouldn't necessarily go together. So, for example, Norman said earlier, like pink. No, he didn't. He said red and green. However, I'm going to use pink and green. I'm going to start off by painting Pinkissimo onto the paper. So, as you can see, this is the shade that we used earlier on our swatches. Beautiful Barbie kind of pink.
Splish splash.
Splish splash. Now I'm going to paint my opposing colour, which is Lime Twist. And I'm going to paint that underneath it so that you can see what they look like separate, but together.
That's clever, actually. I didn't think of that. So,
and there is your Lime Twist.
yeah.
I actually don't hate it.
I actually don't hate it either.
But the more the pigment is mixed together, the browner it's getting. Oh, I've started with Pinkissimo and Lime Twist, and I kept them separate. And then I gave them a really good mix together. And because they're opposing on the colour wheel, as you can see, not the nicest thing ever. And I'm pretty sure that your clients will not want this on their head. Okay, so I just want to show you a little picture. And this is one of my beautiful clients, Dolly. And you might have seen her before on my Instagram.
You may recognise her.
You may recognise her. I've used her a few times as a model. I actually used her at Colour World last year when we were presenting on the Crazy Colour stage. So, this is Dolly's hair. So she has got Pinkissimo on the top and it's blending into green towards the bottom. But as you can see, what I've done is I've smudged out that Pinkissimo. So I've got full coverage at the top, like Norman talked about earlier. I've pulled it down so it pastelises itself.
It's like what we've done on the swatch, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And then what I've done is I've left a gap here and then I've applied my Lime Twist right on the very end because that is where I want the full coverage. And then I've blended the colour up. So I've used my thumb and my
scale,
cut up finger and my scale to make sure that it's nice and blended. But the most important thing is keeping that gap in the middle. And that's how you can use these opposing colours together on one head.
Now we're going to talk about back to base. Do you want to talk about back to base?
So back to base is Crazy Colour's colour remover. It's the pigment remover that they designed. It's compatible with all Crazy Colour shades. And you can mix this either with a peroxide or developer or oxidant. And you can also mix this with warm water, and you could use a bain-marie technique.
Then it says here you can use it with 5, 10 or 20 volume. So I would use a higher peroxide on it if I had a vivid, which was more like a blue or a purple or a green, something which I know which has far more longevity and like a stickiness as opposed to like a pink. Nice smooth consistency, I love it. Love my B2B, back to base. Use it with peroxide. Anything else you want to say about this one? It's fast.
It's a very quick product. All I would say is if you are using it with peroxide or developer and you're using something a little bit higher like your 20 volume, please make sure that the hair can handle it first.
Yeah.
Don't just go in and try and pull it out. If someone's hair is on the weaker side, you will cause more damage.
Use appropriately. We, as hairdressers, we are not responsible for the colour fading, but we are responsible for educating our clients on the journey ahead. They have different characteristics about how they fade out of the hair. So if you have a client who just wants to try something for the first time and maybe they're a little bit scared about trying crazy colour, I would always just recommend them to try pink because they fade out easily. They are removed using back to base beautifully. There is no staining effect left onto the hair. If you have like a blue and green, what would you say about blue and green?
So blue and green have definitely got the most longevity, I would say. They stay in the hair for the longest time. This is great if your client is someone who isn't a chameleon client, so they want to stay the same colour all the time. They're happy to stay in that blue, in that green, even purple, because it stays in the hair. That is a good point as well. So as much as we were talking about the warmer shades fading nicely and being removed easily, there is one exception, which is red. As you know, in permanent colour and also in crazy colour, these colours, it stays for a long time.
Do you know what? If I have a client and they say they want to go red, I will say, are you sure? Are you sure about that? Have you thought about this for a long time? Because red, it will remain in the hair until it's all grown out, that hair that the red pigment has been applied to. We are gonna film another fabulous video for you, literally talking all about aftercare and client expectations as well. So stay tuned for that one. You don't want to miss that. That's got all of our tips about talking to clients and what the client language is and how they look after their hair afterwards. So you don't necessarily need to just mix up a colour and put it on a client's head. Just have some fun with the colours, you know. See which ones you like. Have a look in the shade chart. Pull them out together. Mix them all. See what happens. Remember the colour wheel. That's basically what's going to inform you about what result that you're going to get. But just be creative. I've got Candy Floss, which is a beautiful pastel shade. It is very muted. It does not have a lot of pigment in. If someone wants a pastel pink, sometimes Candy Floss just hasn't got enough pigment in to show on the hair. In order to get that little bit of a ever so slightly deeper pastel shade, we can mix it with Fire, which is our Pillar Box Screaming Red. Should we get the sheet up so we can show the difference? We've got our shades together here. I am going to be applying Candy Floss right here. So you see, it's just a really soft, delicate pink. Now, if your client has like white bleached hair, like you can see it's obviously a white piece of paper, you will get that soft of a pink tone. But like realistically, how many clients do you have are like bleached like that white? Not that many. So sometimes you need just to make the colour that little bit deeper to actually see the reflect. So can you show us Fire, my love, please?
Amazing. So this is one of Crazy Colour's shades, Fire, which Norman said earlier, it is kind of that pillar box brightest red. We're actually going to contradict ourselves a little bit because we said earlier about Fire staining, sorry, the reds staining. Because we're only going to add a tiny bit of this Fire into the Candy Floss afterwards, there's not a lot of pigment going to be in there. So it does rinse out of the hair really beautifully because it's not strong enough to stay in. So this is Fire on its own. Let me just put a bit more on there. Whoopsie. So as you can see, this is really bright red.
Is it?
It is.
So, shall we just put a little dollop of that red fire into this mixture? That's how much candy floss that I've got in the bowl.
When we just want to add a tiny bit of something stronger into something pastel, we usually measure it in peas. So think like garden peas. The reason why we do this is because if we need to re-measure, we know how much we've used. So for example, we might do a full bowl of candy floss, so like a full Crazy Colour bowl. And then we might add, what, maybe 5 peas of fire or something like that, depending on how intense or how light you want it.
It just depends on what result you want, you know, like sometimes you can put 1 pea of fire in, sometimes you can put 5 in. Why don't we just put 1? No, actually, let's do 5 so you can actually see the difference.
Okay, cool.
And at home, wherever you are, have a little play with it.
That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gonna give that a little mix. So, as you can see, it's gone from that pastel pink to a more intense pink. And now we're gonna birth the love child of candy floss and fire mix.
Da, 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 da. May I?
Yeah.
This is my most tried, tested, triumphed custom mixture. 3 of my favourite colours that I'm using. I've got Lime Twist here, Coral Red, and Candy Flow Flow. Lime Twist to me is just the perfect depth of green for my personal taste. It's bright, it's fun, you're gonna see it in a second anyway. And we've got Coral Red, which is just a lighter version of an orange shade. So you have orange in Crazy Colour, which is it's a bit more of a deeper orange, and Coral Red is the lighter version. And then we have Candy Floss as well, which is our beautiful pastel pink. We swatched it on the shade Sharp before, but I just want to show you it again because it's one of my favourites. This is Coral Red. This is Norman's favourite, one of 3 favourites. Love this, yeah. Do you know what? I really like Coral Red over the top of a copper tint. So someone's been like tinted ginger on a level 6 or a 7 or even an 8, if you go over the top with a Crazy Colour orange or Coral Red, for instance, it just gives it that intensified glow. Just that real orange richness. All of my copper clients who just want to take it to the next punchy level, you put Coral Red over the top and it just makes it look
pow, pow.
Pow, pow. So this is Candy Flow Flow as well.
Nice pastel shades. Like Norman said earlier, this is on someone who is a level 10, so super duper blonde. Anything less, I guess if you use it on a level 9, it sometimes comes out a bit more peachy because of the yellow in the hair. And this is Lime Twist. Oh, I used to have Lime Twist on my hair. I think that's why I like it so much, because I used to have, oh God. Excuse that part. I love Lime Twist. It's just so beautiful. Now I'm going to show you 3 of my favourite shades from Crazy Colour. We have got Peacock Blue, which is a beautiful bright blue teal shade. Like a peacock. You are loving peacock, aren't you? I actually love a bit of peacock at the moment. It's so beautiful. Yeah. I've then got Canary Yellow, which is also a salon fave, but one of my ultimate favourites. And then I've also got Pinkissimo, which I know you've seen before, but it's just one of my faves. I am going to swatch Peacock Blue first. So like I said, this is a beautiful blue shade. It's just got that tiny, tiny bit of green into it. So it's almost verging on teal. What I would say with this, if you want a true teal result, apply it over something that's yellow, so like a level 9. If you apply it over a level 10, still beautiful, but it'll just come out that little bit more bluey because there's less yellow left in the hair. Beautifully said, Connor. Next, I'm going to swatch Pinkissimo. So, like I said, you've already seen this one, but I just can't resist. It's so beautiful, so amazing. Barbie pink. If you put Pinkissimo on someone who has more yellow in their hair, it's a little bit more of a peachier result. Just remember, before you actually apply onto the hair, what is the canvas that you're working with? Because ultimately, that is what's going to shine through with the colour over the top. Amazing. Usually when you're doing someone's Crazy Colour, they are a pre-lighting base normally. So what you've got to remember is that yellow tone that's in there, or orange, or whatever you've lifted them to. So now I'm going to swatch out Canary Yellow. So this is bang, like a bright yellow.
This is summer.
This is summer in a
This is summer in a can.
And look at that shade. I actually am loving all 6 of these together.
Yeah.
So now I wanted to talk about one of our favorite things from Crazy Colour. This is neutral mix. So this is basically white. So you can mix this with any shade and it will pastelize it. It will make it lighter, just in case you need that extra pastelization, I guess.
Something's looking a bit too strong, or you like the colour but you want the softer version of it. Get in your neutral, and it's all about like the ratio that you use neutral with. Again, it's just about having to play with it and seeing how soft you want the colour.
This is aubergine. What would you say about aubergine?
It is a deep, sexy red. It was the colour of my school blazer. I love that.
So it's nice and rich, nice and deep, and we love to see it. Now I'm going to add in our neutral mix. I'm going to do this at about a 1:1 ratio. I'm going to show you what this does to it, and then I'm going to add a little bit more neutral and show you what that's done, just so you can see a few different variations of when you add more neutral mix and when you add less.
Show us.
Show us. So as you can see, it's exposed a little bit more red pigment. You can see it's gone from more aubergine through to more red. So I'm going to pop in some more neutral mix. About the same amount again, just so you can really see the difference. Give it a little mix.
Little mix.
Give it a little mix. Give it a little jade though.
Give it a little mix.
Oh.
I love using neutral because it's got that crazy colour consistency that we both love working with. If you were to use a conditioner, it's too watery. So the neutral mix still has that easy to work with consistency. So it's a colourist's dream.
It's very compatible with all the Crazy Colour shades. Like Norman said, sometimes people use different conditioners and stuff to pastelise it, but you don't always get the same effect.
That's neutral.
Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to all our tips and our tricks, and I hope that we've helped you and that you can take this back to your salon and use it on your clients.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.